The United Kingdom was once a global powerhouse, the epicenter of trade, finance, and industrial innovation. For centuries, it set the benchmark for economic progress, leading the world through the Industrial Revolution and dominating global markets. But fast forward to today, and the UK is grappling with stagnant wages, falling productivity, rising inflation, and the seismic effects of Brexit. It's a far cry from its glory days, with many economists arguing that the nation is undergoing a slow but undeniable economic decline. Meanwhile, Poland, a country that spent much of the 20th century recovering from wars, communism, and political instability, has taken a vastly different trajectory. Since joining the European Union in 2004, Poland has emerged as one of Europe's fastest-growing economies, outperforming expectations and even surpassing some Western nations in terms of growth and stability. In 2022, Poland's GDP grew by an impressive 4.9%, according to Eurostat, while the UK's GDP barely nudged forward at 0.4%. So what happened? How did Poland, a country that once relied on Western Europe for economic assistance, transform into a success story, while the UK, with all its historical advantages, fell into relative decline? Let's explore. The UK's troubles didn't start with Brexit, although it undeniably accelerated the decline. The roots of its current woes can be traced back to the 2008 global financial crisis. As one of the world's largest financial hubs, London felt the brunt of the crisis. The banking sector, which had long been the backbone of the UK economy, faced a near collapse, prompting massive bailouts and years of economic recovery. GDP fell by 6% in 2009, and the effects lingered for years. Real wages stagnated, and by 2023, workers were still earning less in real terms than they did in 2008, according to the Resolution Foundation. Austerity measures introduced in 2010 aimed to reduce public debt, but came at a heavy cost. Spending cuts decimated public services, reduced infrastructure investment, and stifled long-term growth. By 2019, the UK was spending just 1.8% of its GDP on infrastructure, compared to an EU average of 3.2%. Another critical issue is productivity, or lack thereof. Productivity growth in the UK has been dismal since 2008, with the country ranking 20th out of 35 OECD nations. The Bank of England has referred to this as the UK's productivity puzzle, where workers are putting in more hours but producing less output per hour compared to their European counterparts. This stagnation has dragged down economic growth and left wages stuck in neutral. Brexit was a defining moment in the UK's economic trajectory, fundamentally altering its relationship with the rest of Europe and reshaping its economic landscape in ways that are still unfolding. The decision to leave the European Union introduced a complex web of trade barriers, regulatory hurdles, and increased business costs, transforming what was once a seamless trading relationship into a fragmented and often cumbersome process. According to the Centre for European Reform, Brexit has slashed the UK's GDP by around 4%, costing the economy an estimated £1 billion annually. For an economy already grappling with sluggish growth and productivity challenges, this self-imposed disruption has only added to the strain. The introduction of customs checks, tariffs, and additional documentation requirements has created significant friction in trade between the UK and its largest trading partner, the EU. Since 2019, exports to the EU have fallen by 15%, according to data from the Office for National Statistics, ONS. Key sectors like agriculture and manufacturing, which rely heavily on exports, have been particularly hard hit. British farmers, for example, have faced delays and higher costs when exporting perishable goods, leading to substantial losses. A National Farmers Union report in 2022 highlighted that UK meat exports to the EU fell by nearly 25% in the first year post-Brexit due to logistical bottlenecks and increased tariffs. Manufacturing, which accounts for 10% of the UK's GDP, has also felt the squeeze. The additional costs of sourcing materials and exporting finished products have put British manufacturers at a competitive disadvantage compared to their European counterparts. For instance, the automotive industry, a cornerstone of British manufacturing, has faced production slowdowns and reduced exports, with Nissan and Honda both citing Brexit-related complications as factors in scaling back UK operations. Perhaps the most symbolic blow to the UK's economic standing was the loss of London's dominance as Europe's financial trading hub. In 2021, Amsterdam overtook London in daily share trading volumes, a seismic shift reported by the Financial Times. While London remains a global financial center, its reduced access to EU markets has forced many firms to relocate operations or establish significant presence in EU cities like Frankfurt, Dublin, and Paris. One of Brexit's most immediate and visible impacts has been on the UK labour market. The end of free movement for EU citizens caused a mass exodus of workers who had previously filled critical roles across various industries. According to the Migration Observatory, the UK's EU-born workforce shrank by 200,000 between 2019 and 2022, leaving significant gaps in sectors such as healthcare, construction, and hospitality. Healthcare has been particularly hard hit. The NHS, already stretched thin before Brexit, now faces over 100,000 vacancies, according to the NHS Confederation. EU nationals who once made up a significant portion of NHS staff have left in large numbers due to uncertainty over residency rights and the perception of a less welcoming environment. The Royal College of Nursing reported that the number of EU nurses joining the NHS fell by 90% between 2016 and 2021, exacerbating staffing shortages in a system struggling to meet rising demand. Inflation has further strained the UK economy. In October 2022, inflation peaked at 11.1%, the highest level in over 40 years. Energy costs have been a major driver, with the average household energy bill rising by 54% in 2022, according to Ofgem. The combination of high inflation, stagnant wages, and rising living costs has left many families struggling to make ends meet. Poland's journey from economic instability to prosperity is nothing short of remarkable. After the fall of communism in 1989, Poland faced a period of economic turbulence, including hyperinflation, unemployment, and a GDP contraction of nearly 7% in 1990. But the country's leaders embarked on a series of ambitious reforms, privatizing state-owned enterprises, liberalizing trade, and attracting foreign investment. The turning point came in 2004, when Poland joined the European Union. This provided access to the single market and billions in structural and cohesion funds. Between 2004 and 2020, Poland received approximately 180 billion euros in EU funding, according to the European Commission. These funds were strategically invested in infrastructure, education, and technology, laying the groundwork for long-term growth. Poland's infrastructure, once outdated and inefficient, has been transformed. Over 4,000 kilometers of highways and expressways have been built, connecting major cities and facilitating trade across Europe. The A2 motorway, for example, now links Warsaw to Berlin, making Poland a key logistics hub. Poland's young, educated, and cost-effective workforce has been another cornerstone of its success. With labor costs significantly lower than in Western Europe, Poland has become a magnet for multinational corporations. Companies like Google, Amazon, and Mercedes-Benz have established major operations in the country, contributing billions to the economy. Poland's fiscal discipline has also played a key role. The country's public debt to GDP ratio stands at just 50.1%, compared to the EU average of 84%. This has given Poland the flexibility to invest in critical sectors like renewable energy and technology without overburdening future generations. The economic divergence between the UK and Poland was further accelerated by Brexit. As businesses left the UK to maintain access to the EU market, many relocated to countries like Poland. Ernst & Young reported that Warsaw has become one of the top destinations for financial services firms fleeing London. Poland also benefited from the return of skilled workers. The Warsaw School of Economics estimates that over 100,000 Poles who had previously lived in the UK returned home between 2016 and 2023. These returnees brought valuable skills, experience, and capital, further boosting Poland's economy. The UK faces a long road to recovery. According to the National Institute of Economic and Social Research, GDP growth is expected to average just 1.2% annually through 2030. To reverse its decline, the UK will need to invest heavily in education, infrastructure, and green technology. Strengthening trade relationships with non-EU countries will also be essential to offset the losses caused by Brexit. Poland, on the other hand, is poised for continued growth. The World Bank projects GDP growth of 3.5% annually through 2030, driven by investments in renewable energy, digital transformation, and advanced manufacturing. However, Poland must address challenges like an aging population and potential reductions in EU funding post-2027. The contrasting fortunes of the UK and Poland highlight the importance of strategic planning, adaptability, and international cooperation. While the UK struggles with the consequences of Brexit and years of underinvestment, Poland serves as a shining example of what can be achieved through foresight and determination. Economic success is not guaranteed. It is earned through consistent effort and smart policies. As the UK and Poland move forward, their stories will continue to provide valuable lessons for nations around the world. Enjoyed this video? Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss a video. What do you think the United Kingdom can do to revive its economy? Please let us know in the comments.